What's going on, everybody? Tim from Tierfon Orbital. Just going to be a really quick one walkthrough today for a KYJK killer. I'm not going to get into too much detail on the chassis on this one because it is very similar to the previous chassis that I've put in the previous KY, Jedi, and Sith killers that I've done. So just going to be a quick walkthrough for the client, and I'll talk about some of the body modifications that I did. I did do some custom stuff in the crystal chambers in this one as well. So we'll get real quick with it, put a blade in it, and we'll be on our way, right? Right, so let's do the top-down guy. Here we are. This is the KY lightsabers Jedi killer. It's a Sith version of his Jedi and Sith killer run. Black on a little bit of brass up towards the top here. Really, really cool, unique looking hilt. I think I did an in-depth dive on the very first one that I installed. So there's some pros and cons with this hilt, in my opinion. But it definitely is a unique Jedi killer. And there's plenty of room to add 2 crystals in this build. So why don't we talk about that, right? So starting at the bottom, the grip, right? So I think I've mentioned this in some of my previous videos. Personally, not a huge fan of set screw grips. I just do not enjoy the fact that I need an Allen key to get at my battery. It's a little bit of a headache to do that. The other thing that I worry about sometimes, it's not happened, I haven't had reports of this happening, but anytime you've got a set screw, there's a potential to strip something or, you know, over crank it. So I just not a fan, that's all. But it is a good solution to, you know, to be able to have these external the external wires line up and things like that. You know, having a screw-in grip is the way to go. That way you don't have to mess with timing shims and all that nonsense, right? So, screw-in grip, making our way up. This is the first crystal chamber. Now, KY ships he ships the hilt with both crystal chamber modulars. Why can I never say that word? So Kevin ships with modules that he spins in aluminum. This is from one of his KY Starkiller hilts, but they're all similar to this. Just, you know, like a basic mount for neopixels and a crystal, and then they slide inside of the grip. The client saw some of my previous builds where I incorporated a Shtok machined crystal chamber module in the top. In the bottom, I've done marbles down here, but the client requested that I put a big quartz crystal inside of here. So what I ended up doing was utilizing the 2 aluminum mounts that KY supplies, disassembled it. Actually, he sent it to me unassembled, okay? And I utilized the top and bottom and not the wires, because he didn't provide the wires. He just sent it to me disassembled already. So anyhow, I used the mounts and put some of my own wires in it. And this has a top and bottom neopixel blade, and there's also a giant regular clear quartz point in here. Making our way up, this is one of those Shtok hand machined crystal chamber modules. It's copper and aluminum, really, really beautiful. I love these. I've been meaning to get one for myself, but I don't have a build to put it in yet. So with this particular one, the client did request that I do some of that real world weathering on it. So I did this with some vinegar, let all the pieces sit in an airtight container for a day or 2, just to give it that green patina. In this chamber, I put a purple amethyst crystal, and that also has a top and bottom neo, and that's its own blade. And making our way up, we've got, this is actually my personal blade plug. I put this in here for glamour shots, but I put one of my, so I made PCB emitter holder for Sabers PCBs. This is in clear resin. It's like a little threaded holder. You know, typical par for the course with me, make something completely unnecessary and utilize it. So my thought was, it'd be cool if I'd be able to make something for the Sabers PCB emitters, much like the Saber Bay one for Shtok. I mean, you can get a threaded clear PCB holders for Shtok PCB emitters at Saber Bay. It took me a long time to get around that. So anyway, I thought it'd be cool to make one. So let's try and design one and make it. And I made it, and it's threaded and all that good stuff. Right? So that's pretty much it. Let's talk about how to use the Saber. Right, so here's the process with a set screw grip. There's a large grub set screw up top here, a hex set screw. You want to take your Allen key. Now, KY did not provide an Allen key with these. I don't believe he ever has, and I don't think this is something that he supplies. So I will send this with this build, and I'll probably start doing that with my KY hilts. But it's unfortunate that he doesn't ship with those. Maybe he's just not aware that people really do need them. But I've had some people reach out to me and say, you know, hey, how do I open this thing? And you know, it's incorrect to assume that everybody has the right size Allen key, right? So I'll send this with this hilt to the client. Here is the chassis for this build. This has been printed off in translucent red resin, and then I masked off the Imperial logo here and some a box around the kill switch, and then I did a spray with matte black and then removed that masking, so you get that like two-tone kind of red translucent look underneath that black paint. Proffie board sits here. It is press fit into this section. You can flip it out if you need to get at your SD card, or use a 90-degree connector to get at your USB. Coming around this side, here's our battery tray. Okay, I do have a 28mm speaker from Saber Merchant, and this is just my typical chassis, little light greebly work around the sides there. So you want to put your battery in. Okay, put your battery in negative side towards the speaker, flat part of your battery. Turn your kill switch on. So then you want to put your grip on. I typically look at where the wires are, line the wires up, and slide your grip on. Okay. And you put your set screw in. That chassis, by the way, is secured with a set screw as well. So then you want to tighten your grip. Make sure it's secure. Don't over tighten it, but you do want to make sure it's nice and tight, or you'll get a little bit of wobble, I have found. And then you're ready to go, right? So let's come down. Okay. So there are two buttons, a main and an aux. Top is your main, bottom is your aux button.
Second sister. Kylo Ren. Just a simple wonder.
So we've got two separate blades for those crystals. Bottom one is on a different animation, top one is on its own animation, and then you've got your blade. It doesn't look too bad, that PCB emitter. Not too bad. So, let's see what else we've got.
I'm a Jedi, like my father before me.
Twist to activate and deactivate is on. Okay. Let's put a blade in it. So to put your blade in, you want to make sure, so there's a set screw up here, large hex set screw. This is going to serve as your blade retention. Okay, same Allen key size as the grip. Put your blade in and make sure it's just resting on those PCBs, and then tighten your screw. I have noticed that the blade holder for this is a little wide. So if you don't make sure that's tight and nice and tight, you'll get a little bit of blade wobble. So just make sure it's tight, and then you're ready to go.
The Emperor's hand.
Lock up. Clash. The client did also.
Cautious wherever I go.
Client also requested that I do color wheel on
Vader's
these.
assassin.
So to activate the color wheel, you want to hold down aux and tap main, and then as you twist, you can get whatever color you like, and then hit that button combination again. Okay.
I'm Cal Kestis.
And that's it. A nice quick rundown video on the KY Lightsabers Jedi Killer to the client. Thank you very much for trusting me with this build. It's been a pleasure working with you. I always like when people ask for custom modifications. It makes the install a little bit more interesting. I also forgot to mention that the client did ask for some mild weathering around this guy. I forgot to mention that. So I put some battle scarring gouging into this as well around the top here. There's some gouges here as well. So I forgot to mention that. So like I was saying, you know, I always like it when a client has some custom requests that are within reason. This was definitely within reason, so I appreciate things like that. It makes the install a little bit more unique and fun for me. So thank you very much for your business. To everybody watching, thank you for your support. If anyone has any questions, please don't be a stranger. And with that being said, may the force be with you always.